Marco Polo, 1254 to 1324, was a Venetian merchant, explorer, and writer whose epic journey across Asia in the 13th century made him one of the most iconic travelers in history. Born in the Republic of Venice into a family of wealthy merchants, Marco was still a teenager when he embarked on a perilous expedition with his father Niccolo and uncle Maffeo, who had already traveled as far as the Mongol Empire on previous voyages. In 1271, the trio set out on a remarkable overland journey along the legendary Silk Road, crossing treacherous mountains, deserts, and war-torn regions of the Middle East and Central Asia. After 4 grueling years, they reached the court of the Mongol Emperor Kublai Khan in what is now Beijing, China. The Khan, reportedly impressed by the young Marco's intelligence and curiosity, employed him for nearly 2 decades as a trusted envoy, sending him on diplomatic and administrative missions throughout the vast empire, which stretched from Eastern Europe to the Pacific Ocean. Marco witnessed and recorded many marvels unfamiliar to Europeans at the time, including cities of great size and wealth, a complex postal system, the widespread use of paper money, advanced infrastructure, and sophisticated technologies. He also wrote about distant and mysterious lands such as Tibet, India, Burma, and Japan, which he called Zipangu, often blending factual observations with exaggerated or second-hand tales. Upon returning to Venice in 1295, after nearly 24 years abroad, Marco was captured during a naval conflict with the rival city-state of Genoa. While imprisoned, he dictated the story of his travels to his cellmate, Rustic Hello da Pisa, who compiled the accounts into a book titled Illinois Million, The Travels of Marco Polo. Though many Europeans initially viewed the book with skepticism, dismissing it as a collection of fantastical lies, it later became one of the most influential travelogues in history. It played a key role in shaping Western perceptions of the East and inspired generations of explorers, including Christopher Columbus, who reportedly carried a copy of the book during his own voyages. Despite controversies over the accuracy of some claims, modern historians generally accept that Marco Polo did travel extensively through Asia, and that much of his account reflects genuine experiences, even if certain details were romanticized or misinterpreted. His legacy endures not only as a bold and curious adventurer, but as a bridge between cultures, one of the first Westerners to document in such depth the riches, wonders, and complexities of the Asian world, long before global travel and communication became commonplace. Marco Polo's legacy is not simply that of a traveler, but of a cultural conduit whose observations and writings helped to transform medieval Europe's understanding of the wider world. Born in a period when much of Europe lived in relative isolation, Marco Polo emerged as a rare figure who not only ventured into foreign and unfamiliar lands, but sought to comprehend them on their own terms. His immersion in the Mongol Empire's administrative and cultural systems gave him a perspective that few Europeans of his time could match. Rather than viewing the East with fear or contempt, as was common in medieval Christendom, Polo demonstrated a sense of wonder, admiration, and pragmatic respect toward the people and systems he encountered, especially under the rule of Kublai Khan. His accounts, whether describing the grandeur of Chinese cities, the efficiency of the Mongol communication network, or the rituals and resources of remote kingdoms, captured a level of detail that suggested genuine engagement rather than superficial observation. Beyond their geographic and political insights, his writings also conveyed early ideas of cultural relativism, long before the concept existed formally in the West. While some elements of his narrative have been questioned or deemed embellished, the essence of his work contribute to a gradual dismantling of Europe's intellectual borders, encouraging curiosity, trade, and ultimately the spirit of exploration that would define the Renaissance and Age of Discovery. His name became emblematic of adventure, global curiosity, and the pursuit of knowledge beyond one's immediate world, so much so that centuries later, his influence is still echoed in popular culture, education, and even geography, with places, books, and institutions bearing his name across continents. In essence, Marco Polo served as a messenger not only between empires, but between civilizations, challenging the parochial worldview of medieval Europe and planting seeds for the global consciousness that would slowly begin to take root in the centuries that followed. The journey to China. The Polos traveled through present-day Turkey, Armenia, and Persia, modern Iran, before reaching the Mongol Empire. They likely followed parts of the Silk Road, though the exact route is debated among historians. During their journey, they would have encountered various cultures, languages, and challenges, including harsh weather and bandits. Life in the Mongol Empire. Marco Polo reportedly learned Mongolian and possibly other languages during his stay. He became a trusted emissary for Kublai Khan, which allowed him to travel extensively within the empire. Polo was involved in various tasks, possibly including governance and tax collection, though specifics are sparse. Return to Venice and later life. After their release from captivity in Genoa, Marco Polo returned to Venice and married. He had 3 daughters and lived a relatively quiet life as a merchant. The exact details of his later years and the date of his death are well-documented historical facts. Controversies and legacy. Some historians question the extent of Marco Polo's travels, suggesting he might have based some accounts on second-hand information or Persian merchant accounts. Despite these debates, Marco Polo's book remains a crucial source for understanding the Mongol Empire and medieval Asia. His accounts influenced not only explorers, but also shaped European perceptions of Asia for centuries. The book, Illinois Million. The book was written in a Franco-Venetian dialect and became popular across Europe in various translations. It includes descriptions of the people, customs, and geography of the regions he visited or heard about. Illinois Million was one of the earliest European texts to describe the use of paper money, coal, and other Asian innovations.
Marco Polo's travels took place from 1271 to 1295. Here's an overview of his journey during the last year, 1294 to 1295. The final journey back to Venice. After spending 17 years in the court of Kublai Khan, Marco Polo began his journey back to Venice in 1292. However, he didn't travel directly back home. Instead, he accompanied the Mongol emperor's niece, the Princess Kakachin, to Persia, modern-day Iran, to marry the Ilkhanid ruler, Arghun Khan. The journey by sea. In 1294, Marco Polo and his company set sail from the port city of Hormuz in Persia. They traveled through the Arabian Sea, stopping at various ports along the way, including those in present-day India, Sri Lanka, and Southeast Asia. Return to Venice. After a long and arduous journey, Marco Polo finally arrived back in Venice in 1295. He was imprisoned by the Genoese during a war between Venice and Genoa. While in prison, he dictated his stories to a fellow prisoner, Rustichello de Pisa, who wrote them down in a book called Il Milione, The Travels of Marco Polo. This book became a bestseller in Europe and helped to fuel interest in Asian trade and exploration. Marco Polo's incredible journey had a profound impact